Sanje tam je ngo yere dan jing khoro jam se chabda kading somba mi be ban ko jin la ma tam be chab je de ma mi ba la go ve ra de ke be san sa je je sen jo je sen ja la ba ran ze de so Nanda tsutum zame sa ye la ding zin pa mi re long gu ben zin shiram nye de na we chu gong sa ra tum cho tong kong de be ge le an zo ning do chi ben pa ye li man de lo de chin be chu gu de ni zai zhi pa chin be chim de jiang de lo za chin be xiao lang gu sa an za ra nim de chin be ge da zai ne je gab je chin be la ma ni pa ran ze zun de chin be zhi be jan zin zin Re Bajimbe Shabla Sorwa and the Bajimbe and Joyons say Saja Jimbe Dobang Tele Chimbon Kadanyam Brada Ningom Jimbe Shabla Sorwa and Shizen Kalan Chira Jinkoraje and the Dondrzalina Pop Jarvetimba Gone Samseba Gajurumbo Chilangu Sa Badindo Jin Chawari Kun Chabdala Makarma Bai Chikuru Kunjen Jungni Si Pam Jiri Danam Juruma Tile Kunjesi Bowan Chujong Bitin Jamdala Nam Jurse Cheku Bonde Don Rame Tuji Jongwan Jambar Dorji Alawan Jurashe Lodipum Sanyi Shi Durji Tam Dinzi Jam Soron Sonji Beji Panjo Shana Be Mongu Sa Savala Marum Boji Dagi Jor Be Mede Yola Garin Jimbe Gone Jizong De Kusong Tujeng Zad So Yonde Sanji Kundanyam Nayang Garin Sanji Gone Labeng Savala Me Shabla Sovande Dason Robalona Chus Ada Sochi Tungenji Dina De Shilomara Jabagan Suda Kendirbe Chujen Jambe Simbrande Badam Jende She Namoria Damba Lake Daludan Jinke Tumda Dame Kinam Da Dwak Taki Samba Tamje Kid Dagi Chutin Do Majun Dua Nakan Tadanyam Simchin Tamji Sije Dohan Tadale Darte Number Tinge Deva Laname Bayanda Bazo Sanji Kombarum Bochitini Chene Jantobarsha Tati Chida Dambechu Samondini Tsuyin the Sine Nyamsalambar Gyo Nyabagone Sinsar.
Oh, benevolent Guru, Root Guru, who is in essence all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, with great devotion I prostrate to you and go for refuge to you with my body, speech, and mind. Please grant your blessings to be cared for by you inseparably in this lifetime and all of my future lives. Clean ground of pure ethical discipline, beautified by mountains of unfathomable samadhi, illuminating all things with wisdom light of the sun and moon, supreme Buddha who accomplishes the welfare of all, please bestow virtue and goodness. Your mandala expanding throughout space and knowledge of all things, beautiful thousand-fold light striking the lands of trainees, fully illuminating all of Buddha's teachings in their entirety. With devotion I prostrate to the great jewel of the Kagyu. O glorious and precious Root Guru, please take seat of lotus at my heart. Caring for me in your great kindness, please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind. Equal to all Buddhas in qualities of realization, yet surpassing all Buddhas in kindness to me, I pray at the feet of my Root Guru, O protector, please turn the minds of myself and all beings towards the Dharma. All you who have become disciples of the Sugatas, those gone to bliss, throughout the billions of worlds of the 10 directions, all of you who wish to hear the Dharma raining down here and now, may you come here. Namo, in languages of devas, nagas, and yakshas, languages of kumbhandas and human beings, in the sounds of whatever beings exist, in every language, I shall teach the Dharma. Please listen well with the motivation of bodhicitta, thinking, all mother sentient beings equal to the extent of space must by all means attain unexcelled eternal bliss of perfect, complete Buddhahood. To accomplish this, I shall listen carefully, without distraction, to the Mahayana teachings being given here and put them into practice.
Hola, so Tadela Kanki Simbra Savichi, and Tatrenga to Kapsa Papa, Nyami Tabur Mochikan Zayajaka, and the Lamchur Chinch was at the Mentudu Mata de Sidishia.
The teaching that we're attending to is a continuation of the incomparable Gampopa's Precious Garland of the Supreme Path.
Chutan Namja Junder, and a chimbo thing at Chukarri, those citizens, the K chimbo thing around to drink Chutun de la Jarjusumat, and Anda in a young, and the Chiransol Chushiak, Kokabra, Hajakawa Sambo. Chiranzoka in a young, the rain, Shushiat, Hajakokab Zambo, and the Kawa Zambo. In Sambasin, any send a Gawata Toa, or the Jew to catch him, Boris.
So as always, I want to say that both from my side and giving these teachings and you listening to them, that we are both, so fortunate to have this opportunity, and reflecting on that, I urge you to be joyous, to have delight and joy in having this opportunity.
Yapuji Samotawayina, when a Trajan, the Nichik Tony Pichu down the Laporte. Shirans on the Inaya, Sosini Salade, Sosi de Salade. Any pay at Chibosene, very comfortable segura, that Tendisene, pay Chibosene dene. Combat Chick Jan and Rogu, you might choose Kalejan. Lama Churank Nana Pen, Chushia Euro, that the Munetana Yapuji Samotawayina. Haja Kokab Zambo. Soching it in a Haja Kokab Zambo. Soching it in a Chula. This a Kapji Mazevaina. Kapji Chitam Sen Chula, soon to the Kapji Chitam Sena, and then David in the Bachia. Pena, Huma to have Chukchik Tang, to have Juni Tang, to have Gohani Chuani Chukchi Juni Tinjipala, and a Burgalamatas of Chushatang. Come Sony, any Ya Lasala, Gambajan and Roll, Lama Regichi, the Dawa Mambola. Any young but the Lasa Sonima comes sola, and Lama Regichi, the Chure Regichi, and the Dawa Mambola, and Kaletam. Capte du Modasi you marry, Namdasi you marry, and the Kantangla, and so she call so she couldn't. Dawa Mambola in the Kaletam, the Pekuri.
And in one way, to have this kind of technology for our teaching of the Zoom, we're so fortunate, that we don't have to take one step, to go anywhere to receive these teachings. It's as if the Guru just comes right into our home, without any effort, and it's so easy for us. From the one point of view, that's amazingly good fortune. From another point of view, teachings are powerful when there's effort that's put into receiving them. In the old days in Tibet, say in the 12th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, 15th centuries, that to receive one teaching from one Lama, a person might travel all the way from eastern Tibet in Kham to Lhasa, and take many months, because there was no, cars or planes or anything like that to travel. Or maybe the other direction, that somebody might travel for months from Lhasa to Kham, just to receive one teaching from one Lama. And when there is that kind of effort that's put into receiving teachings, it does create a very powerful condition for those teachings.
Oh, the Ninditani, Huma Jitu Milarepa, Yara Bogni, the logic, what's it ring? At the pay, the computing Nana, that I met Ranka, the messenger so ranching at Chitin and the day. Chiran's Zubo Chuno Mason, computing the chair mason. Any time a melon and a Zunisha Najing at the Talame, then the Sene. And this is the Chushiak Kokabra. Muma Gypsum Milarepa, 아니 총도지 잡아서 코라 로마지 요래 근데 자라 nga리 값스 아니 저랑께다 자라 아니 근데 칸로마게 취 상활미도지 취지네 근데 지금 취지 요래시 근데 때 인지민이 저랑께 쉬쇼시 nga jaala lep ko mare nga lo chimbori ani nga chawala ma marpa lo sa ke ani de enji mini nga la shisho song song ni nga lo chimbori lep ko ma da chorang lo chung chung song song na de ni jaala tang ni kap se ani khorang ka da jaani ti chu chasang shu ten de ni ko nga jar che ne re chong ba la da ngene ta ne nga pe ma sing khe ba 아니 자라 소간로 마사도 ngason 취참망에 톱 다파체 말아래 빨래 장아 아니 뜻에 다게 줄이 이상 아니 코로나 가졌지 했던데 세리 아니 말아래 밖에 코로나 가졌지 와도 참 응시게 아니 신대가 요리 아니 코로나 말랑관에 된데 신의 자안이 취도 쉬 마용데 아니 말아래 빨다 지고 요라다 취 커대더니 다 코로나 그 삼디 다 드랭 네 근데 짜침보지 자니 쉬다 빠지 말아래 봐 코랑 나 펩슬라 마이 용거리 있잖아 가자 됐었지 다 로마 근데 말아래 봐 코랑 가자데 같이 찍게도 니마 딱bar 코랑 가자데 말아래 봐 응시긴 친데 근데 말아래 봐 펩슬라 마 펩이 근데 코랑이 탕 같은데 지 사자질라 근데 토리 그도 자네 아니 레총 아니 뭐마다 만다와 아니 로당도서 뒤서 코라 ngaja ke shi na de shi ga na de malare ba ke zik ani zik de ta ne malare ba ke ta ko ngaja de ya bo chi ri ma do ta koran so ni chu de ma yu le ngo na nge ku ngaja de ma ja ko do go ngaja ma ja bu chi de ni phang ka de be sa cha chim bo chi ne ani malare ba ke zum thur ti ne nang kha ni ani tim ban de ani sera jam ta cha ba shu chim bo chi ta be ta 잠드자네 다 탕카라와 갑사당 유사당 강반다든지 지가 요 말에 그런 이잖아 이네 집주 말아래 봐 상지에 차린도 자네 야그라초 동바지 야라지 스르트는 요리 근데 야라 그 부리 집주 말아래 봐 이제 아니 왜 정봐 그런 가자치 뭐 요리 상지에 매와 인도 자네 근데 다시 가야 매되니 탕지라는 내대다 아니 잡아 그배 방 세라가 동 깔래 시위냐 아니 장 된다래 아니 티스지니 서지니 아니 집주 말아래 봐 가와라 요다 된지 파다 쳤다 세디 토야 요 말이 서지를 야가 쳐지리 딘티디니 아니 집주 말아래 봐 그런 티데가요 그런 그 고요리 아 캔사 집주는 뭐도 가와라 요나디 파자 철자 송데 야 근티디니 말아 야가 라초 근티디니 집주 그 송데 고데 그 말아래 송데 에 कोरान के या करा छु गोनान इंडसिया ति तेन जे मलारे पा यारा के बुगन जुने एने यारा ते छिर मासों मलारे पा छुंग मासों रे ngaran so ta computer nani ma chi ba chen thongwa na yin sin ne एने रे chong ba hin ji एने कोरान के jip chen mलारे पा तिन जु या ngayang chen ju ge de ya de si ta chi de कोरा जुपो थाया दा पा को de langwa tin ju ge yo ma 애니 코 오찬 애니 집주 말아래 봐 마드 마드 집주 말아래 봐 그티나니 레 총바는 거송 어다 법파다 냠나 야라나도 쇼 내칸 될래 양바 야라나도 도시 주랑 가던 라보이나 야라나도 쇼시 야라나나 하게 집온 도시 애니 집주 마 마드가 지에니 은건티네를 신의 효대 애니 지니 집주 마 패데 다 주랑라 취 아버지 주랑 거 아요 이렇게 취 근데 자안이 취 쉬어야 돼 얘네 주랑은 가자때 취를 취해서 지금 가자지 그는 렌도시 그 고지 그 취도 막고 왔지 뭐그 고지 그 주랑 그 가자때 그는 렌야지 응은에서나 주랑 그 취되는 험만이 톱 차이요리지 얘네 주랑 그 가자를 간듯이 가자치 좀 간듯이 딱 끼세네 근데 주랑 딱 끼세요 응은에서나 슈란산에 내 추쇼고 말해 한로마 내 산이 추쇼 줘버려 한로마 산에 나자갈은 로고 말해 나부 사자네 내 한로마 되는 추쇼 줘버려 이내 내 슈란데 나자데 마 빠부치다 슈란은 나자 침보지 요한 후만에 내 치기 요새 어떤 데서 요리 다들 모두 차송아
So our technology with the Zoom is reminiscent of the story with Venerable Milarepa, that we can have 30 people inside this little Zoom, without the Zoom becoming bigger or us becoming smaller. The story was that at one point, Milarepa asked his disciple, Rechung Dorje Drapa, to go to India for a particular teaching, to receive a particular teaching. He said, my Guru Marpa said that I should receive this teaching, and I'm old now, so I won't be going to India. So you please go there and find that teaching and then bring it back. And so Rechungpa had went to India and received this teaching, and then was on his way back to meet Milarepa in Tibet. And as he did that, he was thinking, this is kind of an important mission for me, that I did something that my guru, wasn't able to do. I'm able to, serve him, to bring him this teaching. So he was feeling quite self-important. And so he was going to a place, a big plain field where he was to meet Milarepa. And when Milarepa saw him coming, he could see from the way he walked, it was kind of like he had a lot of feeling of arrogance and self-importance. And so Milarepa thought he better, bring that down. And so Milarepa flew up into the clouds and started to cause a heavy rain to come down, and hail that was beating down on Rechungpa, and it was covering this whole field. And Rechungpa could barely, see anything, but he could hear Milarepa singing. And he went up to that, where he followed the sound, and he couldn't find anything except a yak horn, lying on the ground. And but he could hear the singing. When he looked inside, he saw Milarepa inside, and Milarepa said, "Oh, it's very nice in here. Just come on in." No, but when Rechungpa tried, there was no way that he could fit his big body into the yak horn, and so Milarepa sang a song saying, "Well, if you're really, at the same level as the guru, then come inside this, this horn." And then he told him, this whole thing was a test. I wanted to check you. I didn't really need to go to India to receive these teachings. I can receive them from the Dakinis at any time. I already received this teaching, but I was doing this so that I could check you, and I saw that you were developing, pride and arrogance like this. And so he sang this song to Rechungpa to explain the situation. So it's so similar here with the Zoom that we can all fit inside this small place. We all have miracle power to be able to fit right into this Zoom without becoming any smaller or the Zoom becoming any bigger.
Shun den rao chi ye Gampopa ke lam choren chin changwan den rao chi nga chu wone yakpo chi nyam ni si thwa ina ya cha ya thamba ma de chuba cha kharida ngone dangwa se ya de chun den rao chi la se khirida ha chang salap chi bo churang ngone churang ke shiju churang ke lunga yi se ju chu dang ne chu se ya de na yin ro go wa yi na ta dangwa ke chun den rao chi la ni 남주 daily practice 세계요라 아니 말에 레진도니 때라 삼노당 티나신세는 삼노당는 들지 당대와 이나 문에 단에 주바차도 요리다 내일도 자네 가랑서 하자 깔아서 뭐 하자 소남 침보 어떤데 차도 요리시.
And in particular, this teaching the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path are exactly those kinds of personal oral instructions, which are so rare and so precious to receive. And, if we can apply ourselves to practicing, to studying and contemplating and meditating on these very teachings, then we will really be applying ourselves to something very essential that makes us a true Dharma practitioner. So these are very rare kinds of teachings, the kind of teachings to receive, personally from oral instructions from a master.
Lasso ni ta de beji de nge ma lagin da dring ani chuduk pa de la ani anda chuduk pa na de chiwe tam ba ta chukik ne si ati na ni ma la ela tambo de la chado da nga jar chuwa ne chiwe tam ba ta de ba chung sing ngu bong ngu zam ji cho shi ba ne chiwe tam ba ta ba chur da chin jing da nga jar mi ba ne chiwe tam ba ta 순주당 호미반의 기회담보다 자와 강영 다시지는 신신의 준비신바시반의 기회담보다 레짐데 맥인 레비진의 송안의 기회담보다 nom바다 담sel랑 호미반의 기회담보다 심지는 예행 산로미반의 기회담보다 인제 덱소발라 콩무초신 르바시반의 기회담보다 야카 탐지 mel레테시 방과랑 랑라림반의 기회담보다 Samju Ganlayang, Jiktin by Yin the Mentunban, Jivetamba. Dene Jivetamba Tajuchi Yenos. Dele Dobane Jivetamba Mimbata Yenos.
So we've come to the 16th set, and these are the 11 marks of a holy person. It is a mark of a holy person to have little jealousy and pride. It is a mark of a holy person to have little desire and to be content with meager possessions. It is a mark of a holy person to be without haughtiness, vanity, and arrogance. It is a mark of a holy person to be without deception and pretense. It is a mark of a holy person to examine any action with alertness and to perform it with alert mindfulness. It is a mark of a holy person to attend to the results of actions as carefully as one protects the pupils of one's eyes. It is a mark of a holy person to be without pretense with regard to vows and samaya. It is a mark of a holy person to be without preference and infatuation towards sentient beings. It is a mark of a holy person not to be angered by the wrongdoing of others, but to have patience. It is a mark of a holy person to give all victory to other people and accept all defeat oneself. It is a mark of a holy person to be unlike worldly people in all thoughts and conduct. Those are the 11 marks of a holy person. Their opposites are the marks of an unholy person.
Khenpochi imbe lamaji imbe chani ta jiran shigo ajilan denda oji yuwa ina lama da gipsi den khenpo sunda ajilan denda o ta ji yuwa ina de lama gipsi khenpo tseda dimba yimba ta denda oji mewa ina ani de di dokto la chade wata dina ni song yawa chasang de ta rang to la song yawa na ji o de ngarang ken de gunjin shigo yusi.
So these are points that particularly apply to me. I'm supposed to be the teacher in this situation, and for anyone who is going to be, giving teachings, then these are the kinds of qualities that a person should have. So I looked at these as particularly as advice to myself, that these are indispensable kinds of qualities. If anyone's going to be a qualified teacher, you need to have these kinds of marks.
7 Mobata, New Moba Seniori. Dinani 7 Mobate, Tado than Najar. Chitang Numonchi in the zone, the Panzari, the Tinani, Tanyu to Suti take a pair Masingatola. A Karisico Pungsap Chiki, Nutsap Chiki. The Dindutani, Tado than Najar. At the Chungo Yuris. Ate Indutane, a Najarsia, the condition you Yurisitane, Najarsia de la Japa Dunsia, the Yogodoa. Najarsia de Pache Muchumala, Naja Yungu Yumari. Among Naja Yungsi, Yedate, Zokdang, Lamsotang, Nambatang, any Pamjortang, any Yongdintang, any Rekt, Rectang, any Sosu Yangchi, Kanonchi Jota Pamjor Kanonchi, you ne, any Delatine, any Najati Chiri.
Okay, so for someone, who's going to be taking the part of a teacher, needs to be free of delusions. Delusions, there's root delusions, there's secondary delusions, mental afflictions. And jealousy and pride are examples of those very root delusions. And these are what really harm us the most. And they won't arise from nothing. They'll have a basis of some kind. Either the person has developed some kind of knowledge, or they're very proud of their family. Maybe they have kind of a higher position. Maybe they have some wealth they've accumulated, and on the basis of something like that, then you start to feel proud, haughty, arrogant about it.
Tatele nimbo kanda chi tingu no sidi tane sanje ka ngaja ke nimbo yashu tela mata pa tingu ri songhi tata churang la jo ta pamjor ta yuju tela o ngala yu samba chike ngala te ta te ta we yung tin chi yu samba tela tin ngaja chike yudu tane ngaja ke nimbo yashu tela ni mata pa nani kare songhi yuri sidi tane tambo te songna.
So the best antidote that Buddha taught for these kinds of delusions is to reflect on impermanence. Because when that pride, that haughtiness is developed, that's on the basis of having some wealth, having a high position, having gained some knowledge or whatever. And reflecting on impermanence can be a strong antidote to having pride about these things.
Pena kanda yung do sidi tane pena pumbo tombo chila ngaja chi yuwaina sinjin rao tanda chila ngaja yuwaina sinjin de churang la nekap chi ka pumbo ko kosa de rari ma to sani kanda yung hako marwa ten di tane sanji chomdin de ke any tumbu tama long sikpa tama jer sakpa tama ze dipa tama de tar sin di yena na bon ja 이제때 디나는 tumpi tama long da sapa tama ze se ati su korte namsha ju de semko tole nyar de waina churala katse jo chimbo khonala che katse wang thang chimbo na yang ngaja de che to ku yo mara is odene sondo.
So when we've developed pride about something like that, the words of Buddha that cut through this are when Buddha said, the end of birth is death. The end of gathering is dispersal. The end of accumulation is exhaustion. And by contemplating these things, you realize that wealth that you've accumulated, like say you're like an important person, you've become the president of country, or you have a boss position as a commander or a boss. is to think, okay, I have this, but it's only here for temporary. It's a momentary passing thing that I have a position like this. It will not last. It will end in these kinds of things as Buddha has described. If you read my recent blog, there I wrote about humility. This doesn't mean, to discard what you have, anything like that, but I explain, about humility, how to cultivate humility. So there you can find more details on this subject.
Lasso, any day Niba can do ba chunching, Mubong, some choice ban a chivatamba tas, then do ba chunching somebody. Jetang Tati Kongan Hajar Chunga Tang, Deba Chunga. Hajar me batan, Deba Chunga, the Sukording at you, Lama Tahaki, Chichokanana, Pemasi Kachimboji. Muma Jawarambochi, Dharamsani. You don't go in by your take us a change. Don't go watching take a song. Nyom Chong see at the back kitchen body. Tinan and do Chong Choshi at the back kitchen body. You think I ain't seen a not so goddamn give in a bejisan rangi. She but said that the body go in a goddamn give in a you got it. They pay a sen and you positions. Goddamn gave in it then number Sancho some bejisan rangi. And the Indian answer. 被林杀的，还在养不去吧？养不去了，林个印度咱呢，个人不给微信你那吧，对吧？穷心，你确实吧？你对的，你不，我不明，咱们就确实吧？你对真的没哇？哦，真的，我那给了真的是那搞了数年有，我到底就是一样。
Secondly, it's a mark of a holy person to have little desire and to be content with meager possessions. This and the first point are something that's considered very important, especially for ordained people. And when I met His Holiness in 2009, he gave me some advice with regard to this. He said, he emphasizes it's so important to have a few desires and to be content with meager possessions, things that aren't of great quality. Why? Because we are followers of the tradition of the great Kadampa masters of Tibet, who really exemplified all these kinds of qualities of a bodhisattva. And so when His Holiness the Dalai Lama gave me these instructions privately, they really impacted me and have remained in my mind.
But you bong in the choice pass. That day, Mutin la day on the shooting la, Tinani Karakogo, you receive the Tane, young Lamataha, when he chew in the Seva in Chaba in the Pagu. I'm betting the Yuri, choosing Sena, Chaba in the Pagu. Let Jumde Yaboja song, Lama la Teba Tansa Yaboja song. Muko me Bachichuna Yaboji say the Vaina, Pamjota Mutang, Lomjo the Chura Magona Yang, Rajik Yuri, Kainsina, Concho Ni Yuri, Sanji Chuda Gendunde, Churangi Sitan Ledang, Kona Batu Ni Yuri. The day in the Tanitana Muduri. And the Inditani, Ting Mudate, Churangan Beton, maybe Tony, Churanka Sonam, Churanka Demba, Churanka Tambo, Churanka Yapo said the Lajila. Now I Inditani, te, Inchimini Lingor is on it. Tata Podo Waka the song Yuri. Shola Sona Mudu Imbe Mapangsi. Shola Sona Sena. Shuran the situ Yamne Yapo say they were in a magic Pesha Mambo, Hamba Chibo, Yapo and the Tewaina. The Churan Mudu Riate means in the say you mate lingo. Koran Sonam Sakari. E Main Pandina ni Karisicosina, Lula Tache, main la Tambichi in Ser, and the Chisene, any Lecatella, some Jutella, Peshata, Jota, North of Keda Lasopa, and the singing Maris. What they call you.
So to be, intent on, getting a lot of things, getting respect from others and so on is absolutely inappropriate in this case. On the other hand, if things come to a person out of their pure practice, that's a different situation, because if someone is truly practicing the Dharma with humility in a pure way, then they are relating to the three jewels of refuge, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, in a very powerful way, and as a result of that, our attainments will occur, and some of those attainments may be sometimes that people offer wealth, and so on, and in that case, as Gampopa has said,
The Potoa.
as Potoa has said, you shouldn't refuse it at that time. It's arising as a result of your pure practice. And so at that time, you don't refuse it. You give the people opportunity to offer that. But on the other hand, if that's kind of your motivation, your underlying motivation, I want the fame, I want the wealth, and that's the opposite. That's the opposite, and that's the kind of attitude to avoid. If they come, without even wishing, and that's what will happen with pure practice. That the wealth, all these kinds of things will just come as if rain. They'll just rain down on you as a result of as an attainment from your practice. In that situation, then you shouldn't refuse it.
And this is about the Paturtang, Xinjingdang, Ngajarmi Pan. Patur, Xinjing, Ngajar Sine. Ngajar te Yila Raote, Xinjing sea the Makichi, Julan Kurtanga, and Jindotang Dotanga. Patur sea oh, I know sea and the Chitapena. Oh, I understand the second one, the Lumbani. Oh, I know. This main course I know, say, and a chicken. Butter the tono, and it's how much sugar you some magic. Same the tall and yanate, oh, it's how much sugar you some. Butter tongue, changing tongue, Najar sin, number some drangdoa, telepeco chimodo. Ambo butter, nay, sugar you some poa. Ngay shiki yu samba nga chipu ki shiki yu ku shiki mari samba chike ngarang la chongza yu pa de chimbo ya tang ne de la pachar che chinjing sia de ku julam de la do tang dan do tang da ke cha xie tang la so ba julam de la se any ngajer sia de ke ha ngale lasmi ne chama shiki yu samba de sum nyam de dom na de ani yabo mari si
So arrogance or pride, being the root, then haughtiness and vanity are like branches of that. In the case of haughtiness, it's like if you have this idea that, oh, I know something, that other people, they don't know it. I know everything. And then that's something that people tend to have in this country. They know a little bit of something, and then they kind of feel like they know it all. But then vanity, how that shows up in physical comportment of a haughty kind of manner in one's body, and then the arrogance, again, the pride in which you just develop such a feeling of I am the best, I am higher than others, and so on.
Yeah. And you把这个春去当我没把戏，但春去得当我你的章呢？春去是要这个民的引导是要这个春去是个人，我让得到的民那样，谁就让来引导到是，我给农民那样给农引导到，我去把民那样去把引导到是呢，没了，共同的家里有的是的，咱呢共同的啦，但这个去别人的话就当，第一那呢。乱错我人的对吧？就有。他就是嗰些马瓜些的，刚才的共同马龙不就往给，你春秋个头呢啊，给农民呢也给农引导到，我去把民呢也去把引导到些的个春秋些，我个些的个，是你春秋的这个的咱呢，哪个去让个年龄当，去让个来下的你忙听的了，我好些个有。看你给家谢，先了进牙呀，进当满头啊进长的，咱的了我好是个有的，这里头的春去当我好没吧。
It's mark of a holy person to be without deception and pretense. This deception refers to putting on airs of being something that you're not. Say you're not really a pure monk, but you pretend to be a pure monk, or you're not really a true sincere practitioner, but you pretend to be. And then pretense is more of the internal situation of lying about things, giving false impressions, which don't really correspond to what you know about yourself.
老丑，啥话刚要大些间呢？细心的准备西巴呢，基本打不打。那啥话刚要那样，啥话刚来接那样，打不打接些个的，像那个的马来人好呢，就是就不喜欢那个的所有的。当本就话大的呢，咱们样那么咱啥，马上把点错你的，咱们都把那么烧去。当不那个的马来人好呢，俺的那个的来土菜的话嘛的。用啥人啊嘛的大件事才来记啦，那个的人肉才这种的，那个的对那样乱马当我去，他的心不是心过的事，春节的你个托你些个人，但你印度上呢，啥话讲那样，把不大些些个人事，大些见，大些些才来记啦，那个的来心不搞事，一个托你，准备心不是心的，那个的人肉心不搞事，那个人肉不搞事，一当。It is
a mark of a holy person to examine any action with alertness and to perform it with alert mindfulness. And now, as Bodhisattva Shantideva has said, before engaging in an action, check. Is it something that you can do or not? Then if you've decided that it's something that you can do, then do it and be determined to do it. Never give up. So in this way, we should examine any action before we undertake it to think, is it really something we're capable of or not? And then once we decide that we can do it, then to pursue it with alertness and mindfulness means to keep our mindfulness, remembering what it is that we're doing, and the conscientiousness to check to see that we're really not losing our sight or our memory of what we're doing, and to stay on the task.
That's all. Any legend making division the so on
Next, we have it as a mark of a holy person to attend to the results of actions as carefully as one protects the pupils of one's eyes.
去现在忙不的写个有的，等下去把人写个，但咱们这你的等下写个多啊，去把个名人咱们这有的， the Jabjong Yang Chupa Yung Sane, Henayana, any Mahayana, Wajayana, Sianda Tantra, Mandachi Yogodoa. The number Maishan Rawati, number Chupa Maishan Rawati. Natang, Naran's Jamanda le Jan, Jalanda Chikona Kilo, that little Jawaina, Kilo Catendo, Ranga Catendo, that's Handati. Say Yaksanda the Karisina, Chubaka say Yaksanda. Legium de Langata Mangala Siati.
So this paying attention to the results of actions, so important. You know, we have all of these names of different practices, different divisions of the teachings, the Hinayana, the Mahayana, the Tantrayana. But what is the real scale upon which to weigh all of these things? What is like that? It is how do our actions measure up when we look at the law of karma? You know, how are we respecting the law of karma? This is like the very foundation. If we want to really check like a scale to see, you know, how powerful, how effective is any of this practice? That's what we need to use to take the measure of it.
Making revision the song. Making revision around eyeballs to the make dot in Devon and she song was here. The Pemasi Koju Chimbojitilla. The land the shit Taba in a Nima Junishu Sung Tang lay the Sukkot religion in the Shidan. Hatamambochi Jaji. A dodo she to carry Hako or citizen, legendary Siate, and number chuke. My Delang Gartavaina, Churan main Karetana yanda, Churan Yungkong, Chulo Karitona Yona yanda. Churan Tawaka Tony, Katseke Shina yanda. Di Tolan Gartavaina, and it Chuba Marisita. Number Maris in Daki the Shia.
And in saying to guard one's actions as carefully as one protects one's eyes. We're talking about, you know, our eyeballs, you know, how precious, how much do we protect our eyes? You know, you could talk about this. It's so important, you know, for days and weeks at a time. But, you know, in essence, it means that, you know, if we're acting contrary to the natural law of cause and effect, then we're not really a Dharma practitioner. No matter how high a view we can express, you know, what kinds of practices we think we're involved in, you know, if we don't attend to and follow the natural law of cause and effect, then we aren't even a true Dharma practitioner.
Jampa Chigla, Koranzo Mata Watine, Sosu Lu, I some subdued tola, lazy at the Jackie Zane. He goes on Cotola, Lugone, Sochi about a Mazinga Lemba, Matawajuba something. Looking at it and Kalichikido, Katan Kandishia. Dawan Huma Kandishia, Londin and Lukuleka Kandishia. Nagatoni, Ama, took the Manchar. The younger, yet younger you did done. Nagatoni, a candidacy. The trauma, six of Manchar. The yet the same down. The he and the woman though. Any same with Tony, and it naps him, knows him, locked up. This something you did, Johnny. The rapper Tony Shaker, you that I don't ship to Tony Sheen a Hajamambo. The rapper Tony Sheen, the Jew Nana, no, I is something Nana. Do you teach it? That in you married into Takis and so soon. Rangle Lunga is someday, Rangle go someday. Any McGive a choose for a tank in the one you married regent. Rangle go someday, McGive a chew dogs hole, the nature name. Logical so much, I say. You just all set up the last of a catechicata, the dogs hole a shake of your rata, so jeba. Mabzimba limba jeans and Kuma Majawa Chene, Jimba Tonga, 한 년 걸려 유지 못 해서 같이 로바 지기요. 아티도 서로와. 르지고는 소지 맞아. 뭐 창화 주바 뒤라. 뭐 창화 주바 때. 아 기형들 소다네 다와다는 뭐 창화 주바. 지난주에나 로엠시. 로엠 빵네. 같이 니네 그 돈발라서 받아. 소병 그 돈발라서 받아. 주름 근데 같이 쓴 거요다. 송는 송야 요랑 가서라. 돈받아서 쉬야 요라. 그래서 꼴라 돈한 지기요에. 로엠 말다. 돈 당가 통다는 몇째 강창 돈바송도 되게 요리 지난주에는 나와 찍라. 근데 지금 돈받아 딘바 추종 가능지 송은 내 투사를 왜 되게 요에. 다 드시고 세는 샤장신들은 배시더니 르지고니. 나가 고니 준 참아 직접 드시고라 준거 토니 덴반 나왔다. 디도토. 아마가 토니 매 참아든 튠보시는 큰바드메 알아서 봐. 준 참아 직접 그 토니 아니 네인저는 되잖아요. 아니 개와나니. 아니 잠보나야. 덴반나야 알아서 봐. 다 강다 때 이렇게 매개와 쥐대 내 쥐네. 아니 개와 쥐를 차고와 있잖아요. 예소스 고슴데 내가 나와나니까지 땅도 네 로이나니까지 땅이야 그런게 니몰을 처랑 다난 같이 가르치는도 르가 이송되게 산이 가르치사리다 모다달 마선 소수 땅거요라 처랑 그 고슴데 소수 쥐는 거라 다 안드시네 모다 땅긴 되고 모다 땅거요리 처랑 그 모다 땅거요라 모다를 가와 땅단 처랑 차비 왜 디나지 추란께 르가 있음데 가와를 땅당 추란 차대요라다. 어디 뺏기지 뭐지 인사를 있다.
So when we think about karma, this doesn't have to do with looking at the actions of others. It has to do with looking at our own actions internally and looking at, how have I acted in the past? How am I acting now? And to very carefully inspect. And it's a very vast subject, but we can think of it in the framework of the 10 non-virtues. With my body, have I abandoned killing, stealing, sexual misconduct? And it's not just a matter of avoiding and abandoning these things, but doing the opposite of them. In the opposite of killing, how much lives have I saved? How much life can I protect? How much can I protect others' lives? In the case of stealing, not just not taking from others, but giving, practicing the opposite of these, generosity. And in the case of sexual misconduct for fully ordained people, of course, it's abstention from sex. In the case of lay people, from misconduct, avoiding that. So how much do I really keep an upright, noble attitude externally and internally in terms of how I view others, partners, and so on, to really check to see, well, how much am I observing, avoiding sexual misconduct. And then in the case of speech, there's lying, divisive speech, harsh speech, and idle, meaningless chatter, use of speech, to avoid these things. And then on the contrary, to speak the truth, and divisive speech where you cause others to be have dissension between them. How much do I do the opposite of that? Do I bring people together? Do I encourage harmony between others? And the opposite of harsh speech, not only avoiding it, but speaking in gentle, in kind ways, and so on. And checking within oneself, how have I acted in regards to these in the past? How am I doing? How have I done this month, or today? And what am I going to do tomorrow? And so to really look at one's actions, examine them in the in the light of this kinds of advice.
Any day,
Rinpoche, Tojin. And then say, with regards to vows and samaya, we have many vows and commitments, and to check, well, how much am I really respecting them? How much am I observing those?
Dimba ke domba ta tamchik la ngo me ba ne ki ta ba ta si ta de ta nga chong da la ta de chu de chama nga le ri ta mo ma shi ba yin na nga rang tho lo che song de wan da chi Gampopa ke main lam
It's a mark of a holy person to be without preference and infatuation towards sentient beings. I really see these as advice that Gampopa is personally, giving to me.
ta domba tamchik la ngo me ba ta te pe ke chim bo ri do wa sang lak pa de laban chap je dang laban chap mi sin ni xie ke yori laban chap je se ya de ke ani so so domba mi na ya domba yu do do se ne ani dom ding ke ti la ge long ke ti la ke long ke ti la de wa yi na ani ti yo ju te dang ti ke yo ju te dang ti le ngi ba de ke sap ju de ke mu su jia zhen le ro yi chang ge long mi na yin do se de看你家尊喜欢哪些，可能十九个六个九两个头呢，家尊的学会，家尊人都会有的。这个那些老板吃呢，他们就大瓦孙当、拉玛当，你东北就是第说是看不到这位些人哪把了，切数的业主些人我好当啊，上级中定的了，业主给切数些人我好当啊。这对咱们都会有的，这对咱们第两年把这个呢。起码他的鸟娃来接受呢，这是送多啊，这人对咱呢，就是对被给进步了一样，东把当成了我没办呢，基本上不打死。
Again, with regard to the vows and samaya, these are so important, and to not, pretend to be observing vows, that one is not actually observing. And in the case that you do that, you're really cheating the Buddha. You're lying. You're deceiving Buddha.
Lo so sabada deri do la de nge ta te kare she ri shi de tane lunga ka sabju ko thone cha jun ro yo da nga ge long min na yang cha jun se ya de khani she ke yo ma re khani she ya de cha jun se ya de jun se ya de ma yi chi shu ke khan ro lunga ka ju lang ko thone cha jun ro yo ge long min na yang ge long yin do do se ya dang.
So, for instance, in the case of being a monk, to put on airs of being a pure monk when you're not, this kind of lying, it's not just something you might say, but it's in the way that you act. If you pretend to be observing the vows of a pure monk when you're not. It is a mark of a holy person to be without preference and infatuation towards sentient beings.
Simchi la nyereng ta sadro mi ba siya de ke khorang la jo che chong tang pong ma nyong ta tende kande chi yu na yang ani chulam te nab ja jun de na yi simchi la ma chi pa ka bala tse wa na yi jiong ko tho ni chanyang ko tho ni o tende ta tang chi pa si ko re de ji ga ta ba da re so.
But here the here the advice is to treat everyone the same and to act the same towards all, not to have different kinds of comportment. If you're in the presence or addressing somebody who's very important, say rich, have one way of relating to them, and then another way towards someone that's poor or not important, to have a completely different way of relating to them. To not be like that, to have a constancy in the way one relates towards all sentient beings. Now, it's a mark of a holy person not to be angered by the wrongdoings of others, but to have patience. So if when you see that others are doing something bad, to not develop anger about that, but to understand that they're doing it because they don't understand. They don't understand how it's a cause of suffering. They don't realize how they're bringing suffering on themselves, and instead to have compassion for them and then patience. It is a mark of a holy person to give all victory to other people and accept all defeat oneself. So Geshe Potoa and also Geshe Changawa, these Kadampa Geshes, have given this kind of instruction to offer the victory to others and take all defeat upon oneself. Or there's in the 8 verses of mind training, you find those words.
Yeah, that day, and then I Panka Rangla Linsia deke. Arishi Yurisitane, Panka Rangla Linsia deke. Horang Langing in Yumon Sakua, telling Hinjine. Ben a Machiland in Dursin and Taptu Sikiwaina. Horang Langing Sakwai, Langing Sapatan in Dursis and Machi in Aina. The Langing Sakayu Dizane. Horang tea Langing Sap Jutela. Any Hinji. Marang Mount Palateta which in Dursin Swaina. The rich Swaina, Malaya Langi, Jum Machewachi. Langi, the Jews, Honji, Tata Yoga, you are the Nimek and Tom Tony. Any Gewala, Draw, Dipalan, Zemne, any Panga courtesy at the Rimato, Nipa Kayang Mene. You get a shake you marry. Lob Junkan Carison, you reach the Yali Ninji Chimboins. Ben a magic control son and Patawaina. There are park controls and Trupa Majavachin. Trupa Lin, a color Lin, Yaku to Caricin. Ninja Gomna, Lin short you by Yanin Ninji Chimboins. So magic Jopaji Yuaina, Pajupaji Juna, Chiranijani Pontaswa. The Mazeva said, so magic controls are Ramada Lab. The rich Sewaina, T. Tabla Ninja Yawaina, a Lin Yaku to teach Charlie, Koranga. Lee actually teach other Tartok Jakat sort of talk you receive it. Tartok Jakat Churan top the Uris. Dinani Pankata Jakaseate Giwala Giwati Karasakurta Giwan Jampa Tang Dipasapa Tin you make the hack of a Tony. Lamjuk shut up the page you tang Landokun Judola Nesiatilla Pankata Jakatelisecurita.
So the important meaning here that say you're in conflict with someone, you're fighting with someone, what would be the best response to that? If you fight back, then it brings ruin to both of you. But to understand, that this person is creating negative karma through what they're doing. They're prey to their delusions, and to feel compassion for them. This is the best kind of response. And in that context, you are the victor, because the way to really measure victory and defeat is in terms of karmic cause and effect. When one is creating positive, virtuous actions and planting those kinds of seeds, and that's really where the victory lies. And when one creates negative karma, that's where what brings defeat. And so weighing things in that way, the very best response to a situation like that is the compassion for the other person. It's a mark of holy person to be unlike worldly people in all thought and conduct.
Any teacher ni kapse nyame chikyo. Ngaranzo me na yin se chiranzo ngaranzo na yin se de dewa yin shun ru gu marwa. Teni ma de ne madani pe ne chi na yin se ni so ani dropo ta dropo tomba tende chi na le de ne ni jiste Milarepa sumba na yin ri. Nga nana tme me pa tan shin ngwe me pa ru chun de ren chen na namjor samba zoba yin. Rōrōn bēi sāwā tā tsā jū dāmbī jī pā rā rī chūn dē rīn chē nū na nām chā sāmbā tsō pā yī sī. Tām jā tēndē chī kā tō nī, ānī chī dā lā, chē nā yī sī dā dā kī yō rā wā. Chī dā yī sī. Ānī tī ndrē wē tē kē, ānī gōm jā nyam nī sē nī ndrē wē tē kē, ānī thār tōk tē lēp sā tē lā, lā dā lā lēp rā kū yō rī sī. Sāngyē chī gōm pāng tōm rā kū yō rī sī. Mē dā nī mā pū, chē nā yī sē, tēnī nyam nī yā pō jī sē yī, ānī lā yī sāngyē chī gōm pāng tōm rā kū yō rī sī. Tē lā pū nik top sum seya deri. Madani pu chidale nik ladala top seya deri. Ate dina ne jamne yabodo samchu kangla yan jikti pa yin da mantun ba si yin da mantun ba ji si gore si. Jikti Milarepa ka jigala mantun ba ji sin do. Sanje chomdin de ka jigala mantun ba ji sin do. Kwa tama pa lutang koran jikbu. Ani kapje se ne.
So in this going against or acting the opposite to what a worldly person would act as something quite important, there's this saying of expelling, joining, and attaining. And what it refers to is being expelled from society, human society, joining the ranks of dogs, and attaining the state of the deities. So, like what Milarepa said, he says, I'm not like worldly people, so it's better that I go. I'm off. You better just expel me. I've left, the human society. I should be kicked out because I'm not acting anything like, worldly people act. And in that case, then you join the ranks of dogs. We're not talking about the well-kept, pets of our country, but dogs, their situation in India and different places where there's nobody taking care of them, nobody looking after them, and so that's the kind of situation that when Milarepa said, if there's nobody to look after me when I'm sick, then my wishes will be fulfilled. If I die alone in this cave with no one to grieve for me, then my wishes will be fulfilled. So I was like joining these ranks of dogs. But then when you go against the way worldly people act in the way that holy people act and practice like that, then you will be gain attainments in your practice. You'll gain the state of deities. You'll become a Buddha. So this is the sense of this: being expelled from human society, joining the ranks of dogs, and attaining states of the Buddha. So these are the 11 marks of a holy person. And so we'll leave. We'll stop here for today. So if anyone has a point of discussion or a question they'd like to bring up about the present subject matter, that would be good. Also questions, if you've had some burning question that you've been thinking about for a long time, those are also good questions to ask. Okay, so if there's no questions, then we'll go ahead with our concluding recitation.
Bande tsawe lama rinpoche dagi chiwura pime denshu la kati chenpe kone jisonde kuson tuke ngoju tse tu so. Omsate ramjan kyamne gyatsu chinla tan denye dendre luwa mebe tu. Kebara chime seye lazo ke sewa yeshe chinchen tendere. Kebu chile kake kama pe kasu donga chazo menga chu. Ome suwe lamda nyamdo ke yunde zeka gedere shabde. Kanke sansum doje rankam so lekwara tenje longdo dambe chu. Shichu tusang gombe dude ye saten gembe chinle Tharchin shu. Pande lame nambara taba la gechi samya lota mikesh. Chinze lewara tongwe mugu ki lame chinla semla juba shu. Kewa kundo yangda lama dan deme chuke pela longchuj. Sata lamke yunde rabzo ne pade lame kopanyo to shu.
O glorious and precious Root Guru, please take the seat of lotus at my crown. Caring for me in your great kindness, please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind. Om Sasti, may the blessings of infinite seas of our places of refuge, the force of the two truths' infallible interdependence, and especially the hosts of deities of immortal well-being, now rain down the magnificent splendor of their wisdom and power of longevity. The Lord of the dance of all victors' enlightened activities, Karmapa, your unquenchable thirst for the inner essence of his traditions, doctrines, of discourses, tantras, great seal, great perfection, and fifth instructions, has brought the qualities of signs on the spiritual path, your experience and realization, to their full flower. May your life be firm. May the wisdom mysteries of your body, speech, and mind be as perfectly firm as the Vajra's own immutable elements. May your gatherings of disciples who study and practice the sacred teachings of scripture and realization by listening, contemplation, and meditation cover the earth. May your activity reach its ultimate consummation. May I never for an instant develop wrong views of the glorious Guru's life and deeds, but with devotion, seeing all they do as excellent, may the Guru's blessings enter my mind. In all lives, may I never be parted from qualified Gurus, enjoy glory of Dharma, and by perfecting all qualities of the paths and stages, quickly attain the state of the glorious Guru.
Dachin simjin damje lo ju sen do wara sinje labdo sora ju lamdo do wara sinje labdo sora lan ba sava sinje labdo sora ba yi shi sen cha sinje labdo so da so namje ju dan tun ba ye je dar sam ba yi yin ba da ne do gi so ba ju be so ne wara she wara sinje labdo so Senjorum boji majibana jije jibanyam ba mi ba yang kone kongden pe wa sho. Nga ke tawala ma ke namjo bokal ma setting ke kong ke suguri. Yu ma song chali kapsa molam ji jak yo is. Molam de jabli kapsa khani chura molam kare tu na inde ke sing tamja tela. Tereng ti na yi lama ta nyam den rawa me be thoni yan cher chu nyam si gi sa ba. Tamja ji ja gore song na. Adune de suguri. What's way?
So as my Guru Sanjit Tenzin say,
No, the karma seti.
Karma, my Guru Karma Tepten, I would say that when we say prayers after teachings, regardless of what the prayers are actually saying explicitly, we should keep a motivation in ourselves to pray to never be separated from the teacher and the teachings that they're giving. Lama dan sungshul and mandawa cheva dip ra.
Oh, re.
Touching. Let's zoom in the short song. Think about you.
Zoom short song.
Short song. Can't go do any.
Zoom better short song. You got it. That zoom short song. Short del dead one.
Los cansa. Can't go do any. Soon go do.
Ale tange yan that zoom through chicken jori the Milarepa and yara na ya.
Oh, that can yes are. Yes are. So now I've lost my Zoom visual here. I'm only hearing Rinpoche's speech, so it's like he's disappeared now. I'm having that experience that Rechungpa had. I can't find him. I still hear his speech, but
okay, Sambala. Thank you, Samba, and thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone. Touching.